The way that I apply this in my own teaching, there are times when students who normally were behaving and would suddenly say something horrific to me. In the middle of class, I'd ask them to leave and step outside. And every single time I would stop and say, "Are you okay?" Every single kid cried and just said, "You know what? I'm having a bad day." And if we can remove the personal insults and take the time to make sure that our kids are okay, we're building better relationships. We're making sure they know an adult cares about them. And really, my behavior management gets better because they know I care about them. I do make sure that they understand that the way they chose to react to their situation by insulting me or saying swear words or throwing things, that's not acceptable, that I don't let that happen in my class. But asking them if they're okay first really set them up to be better listeners to my own classroom. So that's just a couple ways to try and help kids who do have trauma. And our ELs, a lot of them have high ACEs. And so it's important to keep that in mind. And I know that a lot of you have mentioned your fear of time. But if you are constantly dealing with a student's bad behavior in your class, you're actually going to save time by doing something like that. Taking a second to say, "Are you okay? What's going on?" You're going to spend less time doing behavior management in your class. It's going to save you. So let's go ahead and take a look at accommodations. I don't have the handout to give to you, but it is easy to look up. We're talking about accommodations for state tests or your own tests. These are things that don't change the data. You can still use the scores from all of the kids. You've just accommodated for whatever disability or learning barriers that they might have. So, for example, if you look at their WIDA scores and you see that their speaking is really high, but their writing is really low, you can have them answer orally. Or let's say they have really low reading, but a really high listening. We could read the test to them. So it's just accommodations that you could use to help your kids without invalidating your test. As a warning, these are also on your quiz. There will be a list of accommodations and modifications, and you will need to know which is which. Okay, and then we get to our modifications. This is actually changing the assessment, and the results are no longer comparable to other students' tests. This is shortening it, rewording it, changing the Lexile level. If you have a student who you let write pictures instead of a sentence, or if you even let them work in partners, one of them's translating, those are all things that invalidate your data. They are useful, they are helpful, but you would want to eliminate that score when you look at all of your data and compare it with other teachers, and possibly look at all of the kids who receive modifications and see which modification had higher scores. Again, a list of modifications and accommodations will be on your quiz. You will need to know which one is which. State test accommodations change every single year, but I do want to go over a couple just to make you aware. The ACT has started allowing our ELs to have accommodations, but they have to take the WIDA test every single year. If they refuse to take the WIDA test one year, they cannot get accommodations on their ACT. The most common ACT accommodations that get approved are extra time and having an approved translation dictionary. I haven't seen any others being allowed yet. I am going to pause. I'll make a second video so I can go take care of my kiddo real quick.